Okay, let's unpack this. Half of all small businesses, they don't even make it 5 years. That's according to a Walden University study.
Wow. Yeah,
Pretty sobering. Makes you wonder, you know, what are the survivors doing differently? The ones that really thrive, especially in retail.
exactly. And that's what we're digging into today. This deep dive is focused right on a key strategy for small retail businesses trying to make it long term. Product
For sure,
diversification.
product diversification, okay?
Yeah, like how expanding what you sell can be the difference between just scraping by and, really succeeding.
So to figure this out, we've got a few interesting sources lined up. First, there's an Investopedia article. That'll give us the basics on active income, which is, well, how most businesses start earning money.
Right. Foundation.
Then there's a paper from the International Journal of Multidisciplinary and Current Educational Research. Let's just call it IJMCER. That one looks at why people look for different ways to earn money. And finally, that Walden University study you mentioned, looking specifically at how small retailers use diversification to, well, stay in business.
And our goal here, it's not just about listing facts. We really want to pull out those aha moments for you.
Useful stuff.
Exactly. Insights you can actually use. Whether you're already running a business or maybe thinking about starting one, or even if you're just curious about how businesses adapt, we want this to be helpful, not overwhelming.
So our mission, let's call it, is to uncover what really works with product diversification for small retailers based on these sources. Let's kick off with the fundamentals. Active income.
Okay, active income. Investopedia puts it simply. It's money you earn for actually doing something, performing a service, working actively.
Like a paycheck.
Yeah, exactly. Wages, salaries, tips, commissions, all active income. You work, you get paid.
Pretty clear. But for a business owner, it's a bit different, isn't it?
It is, yeah. If you own a business and you're, hands-on running the show day to day, that income is usually active income too. The IRS calls it material participation.
Material participation.
Yeah.
Okay, what does that actually mean? Like in real terms?
Well, it basically means you're significantly involved. So maybe you work more than 500 hours in the year, or you do most of the work yourself.
Right.
Or even if you put in, say, over 100 hours and nobody else works more hours than you do, if you meet criteria like that, it's active income.
Okay, so if you're really driving the business, it's active. What if you're more of an investor, kind of hands off?
Then it shifts towards passive income. That's income from a business you're not actively running. Investopedia also mentions portfolio income. That's from things like stocks and bonds, your investments.
And they can be taxed differently.
They can be, yeah. Sometimes investment income gets a bit of a tax break compared to active income. It's worth knowing.
Interesting. Okay, so most small retail owners, especially early on, they're definitely in that active income zone.
For sure, they're putting in the hours.
So why would they look beyond that? The IGMCER paper, it mentions this trend, people wanting multiple income streams, especially post-COVID. What's behind that?
Yeah, that IJMCER paper really highlights this growing desire for flexibility. Ways to earn money outside the typical 9 to 5. This desire really picked up steam after all the disruptions from the pandemic.
Makes sense.
They looked specifically at what factors push individuals towards choosing passive income options for themselves.
But that's individuals, right?
Yeah.
How does that link back to a small shop trying to sell, I don't know, shoes or books?
It's a fair question. While the paper's focus is individual choices, the underlying reasons, they totally apply to businesses too.
Okay, how so?
That desire for more flexibility, wanting more than just one source of revenue, needing a bit more financial stability, those are huge motivators for a small business owner to think, okay, what else can we offer? It's about building a stronger, more resilient business.
Right, right. If people want that safety net personally, it makes sense businesses would want it too. Less reliance on just one thing. Now, that paper mentioned ISM.
Yeah, interpretive structural modeling. It's basically a fancy way of saying they use a method to map out how different factors connect and influence each other.
Okay.
In the IJMCER paper, they used it to see how things like, say, risk tolerance and available capital influence the choice to pursue passive income. It helped untangle complex decisions.
So it visualizes the connections.
Exactly. And while they applied it to personal income choices, it kind of sets the stage for thinking about how businesses make complex strategic choices too, which, leads us perfectly into the Walden University study and its focus on actual business strategies.
All right, let's get into that Walden study then. It looked at small retailers, specifically in Fairfax County, Virginia. And these were businesses that had made it past 5 years using product diversification. What were the specifics?
Yeah, they were quite specific. They looked for small retail businesses, so fewer than 19 employees that had deliberately and successfully used product diversification to stay sustainable for more than 5 years.
The success stories.
The ones that beat those tough odds we mentioned at the start.
Yes. And the big question they were tackling was how? Why look at these survivors?
Well, the study points out something crucial. We know SMEs, small and medium businesses, are vital for the economy, right?
Absolutely.
But like we said, it's so many fail early on. So this research wanted to figure out, okay, what did the ones who lasted do right? Specifically, how did adding new products or services, that diversification piece, help them survive and thrive?
And the key finding was,
The key insight really from Walden is that adapting proactively, diversifying based on what's happening around them, especially customer needs and market trends, seems to be a huge factor separating the businesses that make it from those that don't.
okay, so what did they find? What are the sort of actionable themes for a small retailer thinking about this?
They boiled it down to four main themes that consistently came up when they talked to these successful owners. The first one was customer-centric decision-making.
Customer-centric. So basically, pay attention to your customers. How did that play out with new products?
Precisely. These owners didn't just guess what to add. They consistently used customer feedback, actual suggestions, what people were asking for to guide their decisions on new products.
They listen.
Actively listened, it wasn't random.
Can you give an example? Like, what did that look like?
Well, the study mentioned this idea of customer co-creation. Maybe a shop started stocking a whole new line of things simply because enough customers directly asked for it.
All right.
Imagine a craft store. Maybe customers keep asking for a specific type of yarn, so they start stocking it. Or maybe they offer more items through a catalog based on expressed interest, even if they don't keep it all physically in the store. It's driven by the customer.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Give the people what they want, basically. What was theme number 2?
The second one was market trend orientation.
Market trends.
Ah,
So keeping up with what's hot, what's new in their field.
exactly that. The successful owners actively tried to stay aware of the latest trends, new stuff happening, innovations.
How would they do that?
Could be things like going to industry trade shows, seeing what vendors are pushing, paying attention to competitors, but also, interestingly, being aware of bigger stuff happening in the world.
Bigger stuff like,
Well, the study gave a fascinating example from firearms retail. Apparently, things like news events, political shifts can really impact demand in that specific sector.
oh, wow.
So for them, being aware of those external factors was crucial for deciding how and when to diversify their stock.
That's a really powerful example of how outside forces matter. Okay, theme number 3,
Third theme was resource orientation.
resource orientation. Sounds like being smart with money and time. Small businesses don't have infinite resources after all.
Not at all. And that's what this theme captured. These successful owners had to make diversification decisions pretty quickly and, importantly, without breaking the bank. They often used what the study called organic decision-making.
Organic, meaning
Less formal, more flexible, not bogged down by the kind of complex, slow processes you might see in a big corporation. They could pivot faster.
more agile.
Exactly. And it also meant being smart about costs, things like keeping inventory lean, not overstocking, and really leveraging deals from their suppliers, making every dollar count.
Resourcefulness, got it.
Yeah.
And the last one, the fourth theme,
The fourth theme is all about complementary products and services.
complementary.
Yeah.
So stuff that goes together with what they already sell.
Yes, precisely. Offering related accessories or maybe services alongside their main products, that turned out to be a really smart strategy for many of them.
Right.
Like a bookstore also selling nice reading lights or journals, or the bike shop example selling helmets, locks, maybe offering repair services.
The add-ons. Things you might need anyway if you buy the main product.
Exactly. You buy a new phone, you probably need a case, maybe a screen protector. Smart retailers have those right there for you.
And why is that approach so good?
Well, for one, you're selling more to your existing customers. Plus, often those complementary items or services can have pretty good profit margins, sometimes with lower costs than the main item. It just makes good business sense.
Okay, let me see if I've got this. The 4 keys from Walden. Listen to your customers, watch the market, be smart with your resources, and sell things that naturally fit together.
You got it. That's the core framework they found.
So how do we tie this all together now? We had Investopedia on active income, IGMCER, on why people want diverse income.
Yeah.
How does the Walden study fit?
It fits perfectly, really. Investopedia lays the groundwork. Most small retailers start with active income, relying on their main thing and their own effort.
Right.
Then IJMCER shows us the underlying motivations. There's this growing desire, this need almost for more income streams, more security, more flexibility.
And Walden shows how small retailers can actually do that within their business.
Exactly. Product diversification, done the way the Walden study describes, customer-focused, market-aware, resourceful, complementary becomes the practical strategy. It's how these retailers create those more stable, varied income streams within their active business.
So it's not necessarily about finding some completely separate passive income thing,
Yeah.
but about building more streams inside the business they're already running.
Precisely. It still requires active management, of course. You're still running the business. But it addresses those needs for diversification and resilience that IJMCER talked about. It makes the core business stronger.
It suggests the thriving businesses are the ones actively looking beyond just selling that one initial thing.
That seems to be the strong message from the Walden research. Yes.
Yeah.
Building a more secure, sustainable future by broadening their offerings thoughtfully.
Okay, learner, let's try and boil this down for you. Key takeaways here. We started with active income. That's where most small businesses begin, tied directly to the owner's work. We saw that wanting different ways to earn, that desire for diverse income, is a really big driver for people now.
Definitely.
And crucially, for small retail businesses, strategically adding new products and services. Diversification isn't just nice to have. It can be absolutely vital for long-term survival.
Yeah, essential.
And remember those 4 themes from the successful businesses.
Yeah.
Always think about the customer, keep an eye on market trends, be smart with your resources, and look for those complementary offerings. That's a solid framework.
It really is. And that leads us to a final thought for you to chew on. Thinking about all this, what opportunities might businesses, be missing?
Mhm.
Are there overlooked ways they could strategically expand what they offer based on these ideas to build more resilience for the long haul in this, well, pretty dynamic market we're in?
Yeah, maybe look at a local shop you frequent. How do they stack up against those 4 themes? Do you see opportunities for them?
It's an interesting lens to look through.
Absolutely. And look, this deep dive is really just scratching the surface. There's so much more you could explore, specific diversification tactics for different industries, more case studies.
For sure. Hopefully, this gives you a solid starting point, though. A way to think about how businesses adapt and aim for that long-term success.